Good morning, Marco. I hope everything's going well. I want to go ahead and make this quick recording for you so that we can make sure we're on the same page here. So, I noticed that you were making a .NET console app using Visual Studio. So, I'm going to go ahead and emulate what you were doing. And so, down here, pardon my mess. I have so many things open. But down here, you'll see that I have Visual Studio 2022. I have the professional version, but it's no different than the community version. In this case, I'm going to say, um, we're going to say create a new project, right? While I have other tools loaded that you don't, hopefully you're not using, you'll just need to do basically console up here. And I've already have it defaulted to C Sharp. So it's also sorting it by type of project. So you can just say console here, either way. Um, so I can actually remove this, and it'll just pull back any console app within the frameworks that I have installed. So I have the .NET framework and .NET Core framework, which would be this one, uh, and uh, and that's pretty much it. So it doesn't matter really which one you choose. The process is the same. So I'll just go with the full .NET framework, and I'll just hit next. And I'm going to call this something silly like cheeseburger, so that you see what that means. Now, this is telling me where it's going to put what's called the repo. Okay, so it's going to put it in a subfolder of repo. The solution name. Now, the solution name is in Visual Studio. Every piece of code is in a hierarchical structure. The highest being the solution, and then every solution has multiple or can have multiple projects. Okay. So it's asking you here, do you want me to place solution and project in the same directory? I personally never check that because that confuses me. So here it's asking you what version of the .NET framework you want to target. Okay. Again, for purposes of this console, it doesn't matter. If I had chosen at the other screen here, back here, if I had chosen one of these other ones, I would see lower numbers. I'd see .NET 5 and that kind of thing. All right. So I'm going to leave it in the default location because it doesn't really matter. But notice how it's calling the solution cheeseburger, right? Because that's what I said here. So I'll just do this to differentiate, and you'll see how the path changes. Cheeseburger solution, project name solution cheeseburger. When I hit create, it takes a little bit. Visual Studio is a little cranky sometimes, and we have ourselves our first console app. Okay, now the first thing you must do is before you get to anything else is you actually have to run it or what's called build it. Okay, so you come up here and in this case you see start, and I think now I see what you were meaning. It looks like maybe the framework that you're using. So I'm going to try a couple different variables to see if I can get that same behavior. But start is what you normally see, and then you see these options here for debug and any CPU. Because sometimes you want to run it without debug, pardon me, you want to like here you have the option to start without debugging. Okay, here you have a couple places to get to the debug properties, which you'll sometimes need to. You can choose things like just my code and stuff like that, which we can always get to later. So this is the release. So when you there's a couple different things when you compile um, and um, and actually publish a project. If you publish it in debug, okay, you can actually debug it fully in while it's in runtime. When you publish it in release mode, okay, a lot of the debug capabilities go away because it's meant to be a lighter weight, performant version of the application. Okay, so most cases in your development, you're going to spend most of your time in debug mode, and then way at the end before you publish, you're going to go ahead and slide it to release. Okay, so we're just going to run this, and right here, this is actually not a console app. I don't know why it is calling a console app because it's not. This is actually just defining a class, static void main print. So what we're going to say is, um, we're going to say, oh god, this is so long. What the hell is a console dot write line? Yeah, and then we're going to say, so now this is telling me, see these little squiggly lines? This is like, oh, I'm expecting a colon, right? Because always you have to end your argument in a colon. Now, I'm not going to name this anything. I'm just going to instantiate the object console with the method write line. Now it tells you what it's expecting, right? In this case, it's telling you can overload it in 18 different ways. But if you cover here, it gives you the where this class is coming from. So the system.console, so system is the main library that it's coming from. But what this guy wants is basically a string. So you can do string in one of two ways, like or one of like many ways. You can simply put a string in here, which is encapsulated by two quotes, and say, "Hello, Mr. Marco. Hello, Mr. Marco." Right? And if I hit start, you'll see it'll run, and it's going to say, "Hello, Mr. Marco." And in that case, it did not. Oh, well, that's why, because I didn't do this. So, whoopsies. You want to do pods. What is it? Console dot. What was it? Pods. Oh wait, is it wait? Wait. Oh, read line, read line. So if I do a read line, it will wait for me to read, and that is all I should need. So now instead of it just going up, boop, and flashing back down again, it'll plop, it'll plop up, and it'll wait there for me to hit the space bar. See how now it stayed there? Okay. So now it won't do anything and it won't continue. And you see it's still in memory, it's still processing. Okay. Until I close or hit the key. Okay. Now I could have done this a different way, right? I could have said, for example, I could have said string, which is the type. We're going to give the string a variable name, so we're going to call it name equals, and then a string, and say my name is Marco, right? I'm going to do a couple different things here, right? And then I'm going to end that, right? So now here I can say hello. I can do simply this by replacing this with a variable name. I can say name, right? And our outcome is the same. Hello, my name is Marco, right? Or hello, you know. So I hit space bar or pardon the enter key, and everybody's just happy. Now I could also have done something like this. There's something called string interpolation, right? So I can say something like, and then I can say open bracket, and that signals the editor that because I put this little thing here, this little dollar sign here, it's saying, hey, whatever string I pass, if you see a bracket, replace that bracket or concatenate the string with that variable. So now, if I hit the start button, you'll see in the morning, my name is Marco, right? Now, what if I wanted to debug this, right? So what if I wanted to say I wanted to check the variable name to make sure that and as a matter of fact, let's do a couple more things here. Let's declare another string. Actually, no. Let's declare an integer. Okay, and we're going to call it salary. Salary, right? And we're going to say I don't know, $1,500. Whatever. I mean, it's an integer, so it doesn't require a string. So now, but it's telling me, hey, you've declared this variable, but you haven't actually used the variable, right? So I can do string interpolation, and I can say, hello, my name in the morning, my name is in the morning, my name is Marco, comma, and I make, and I say salary, right? And we'll hit it up, start, and bada bing, bada boom, we got our thing, right? Now, let's say that something went wrong. Something didn't work right, all right? So what I can do is I can come over here and I can put a break line in here, okay? Now, what's going to happen is the code is going to execute, okay? And it's going to come to this breakpoint, okay? And at that time, it's going to give me a couple different things, right? I'm going to be able to review the values of the variables themselves. Now, it may not seem so important now, but when you're debugging a more a more complicated program or method where you have variables being passed, calculations being made, it's very important to be able to put breakpoints in your code so that you can see the variables that are actually the values of the variables that are actually being passed in, right? And see, oh, wait a minute, look, it's a null. That's why. Why is it a null? Let me step back in my code, right? So let's go ahead and do this. And you'll see, whoops, it stopped. It stopped right where I told it to. The reason I told it to stop here is because I know that this line and this line have already been processed. So I should be able to see the value of, and there it is. I see the value of salary, and I can also hover over name, and I see the value of name, which is my name is Michael, right? So I hover over this guy, I see salary, right? And that's pretty much how it works now. Now down here, typically you would see, oh, there, my locals. So here you see name and 15.99. So you see, okay, my variables are good, the values are good, everything is good. Let's rock and roll. Continue, and then it continues on to the rest of the code. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut it short here and send this over to you. Hope this helps, everyone. Bye.